invocation and salute the flag. We'll have Reverend Jonathan Murky from the Millville Church of Nazarene to deliver the invocation, followed by the salute to the flag. Can we all stand, please? Reverend?
Let us pray. Father God, we thank you for the privilege of being in a place where we can be represented and where we can represent ourselves. We thank you for the freedoms that we enjoy for our city, which we love. Thank you for our leadership and our citizens, and we pray that you will bless tonight's meeting, that you'll give us wisdom and discernment, and that you will keep leading us forward by your grace in all things. For we ask it in your name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. This meeting is being conducted in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act of 1975, was advertised, posted, and made available to the public as required by statute. The municipal clerk is directed to include a statement in the minutes of this meeting. Madam Clerk, are there any review changes to the agenda?
There are 4 changes. We have the removal of presentation item 3, which was inadvertently placed on the agenda, the removal of resolution item 2, authorizing military leave, the addition of resolution item 6, authorizing a fair and open contract with Remington and Burnick to draft bid specifications for the repair of Orange Street Water Tower, and the removal of presentation item 1 by Anthony DeSantis of Millville Plastics.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, move that the bills be paid after properly certified.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Here.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes, here.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, motion to approve and dispense with a reading of the following minutes and to proceed with the regular order of business. September 17th, 2019, the work session, the closed session, and the regular session. September 25th, 2019, the special session, closed session. Motion.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries.
We're going to go to proclamation to put the brakes on fatalities. Commissioner?
Okay. Should I do it from here?
You can.
I'm going to do it from here, since I was here to receive it. Okay, proclamation. Whereas October 10th, 2019 has been declared Put the Brakes on Fatalities Day by the City of Millville, and whereas across the nation, traffic crashes caused 36,750 fatalities in 2018 and are the leading cause of deaths for young people between the ages of 15 and 34. And whereas in New Jersey, 563 individuals lost their lives in traffic crashes in 2018, and whereas pedestrian-related crashes accounted for 31% of the state's total traffic fatalities, and whereas motorcyclists and pedestrians faced increased risks on New Jersey's roadways as people opt for alternative modes of transportation, and whereas 53 motorcyclists and 165 pedestrians were killed in the state of New Jersey in traffic-related crashes in 2018, and whereas safer driving behaviors such as buckling up every ride, obeying posted speed limits, stopping for pedestrians in crosswalks, and using crosswalks when walking, avoiding aggressive driving behaviors, never driving impaired, wearing proper safety gear while riding a motorcycle or bicycle, and focusing solely on driving by avoiding distractions can dramatically reduce the number of traffic-related injuries and deaths. Now, therefore, be resolved that the Board of Commissioners of the City of Millville do hereby proclaim October 10th, 2019 as Put the Brakes on Fatalities Days, and call upon everyone to put these life-saving behaviors into practice to improve safety on the roadways in our community and throughout the state. Adopted October 1st, 2019, signed by the Mayor and all the Commissioners.
Good.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any comments on that presentation? Great, thank you. We've now reached public comment on agenda items only. Anyone that would like to speak on an agenda item, please step up to the mic. State your name and your concerns and limit your comments to 5 minutes, please.
Mary Messick here of Millville. I'm concerned with this trash removal. if this trash removal is anything like in Bridgeton, Millville's going to have a problem, because I can see now with our own trash removal services that we have, there's more trash than will fit in one trash can, or more recyclables that are going to fit in one recyclable can. If that's going to be the case where we only get one trash can, one recyclable can, that's not going to really help out a whole heck of a lot, because I see there's many places where tenants or homeowners have lived, no longer are living there, and the trash is put out and it sits there for many days, and sometimes past the time of our trash removal. And we already have the ordinance within our city for bulk week being the last trash pickup day of the month. So therefore it sits and gets tagged, and I know the fine can be as much as $500. How's that helping the residents? Plus, on top of that, I know right now the city's been kind enough to give anybody who comes to them a recyclable can. Somewhere along the line, this city had to have paid for those recyclable cans in the beginning. If our trash removal services are tossing our recyclable cans, our standard trash cans, and they're getting broken, the resident is paying to replace the regular trash cans, but the city is ending up giving the residents new recycling cans again. That's costing the city money. The city can't keep paying out of their pocket for this, and then eventually what's the city going to do? Ask us residents and homeowners to pay for the recyclable cans because the trash company decides to throw them? I'd like to be able to find out how this is going to work.
Thank you, Mary.
Good evening, Angeline Broomhall, Millville. I'll wait to address the CCIA building when we get to the hearing on that. I would like to address the trash can thing. And what I want to say is I'm not opposed to it, but I'm not in favor of it either. And the reason why is because there's a rush. And I understand the rush, but there wasn't a rush last year when you signed with South Jersey Sanitation again. So there's a whole lot of questions, and I don't believe that even you guys know all the answers, but hopefully you will, and I understand that you don't like to answer questions back and forth here, but they need to be addressed before you commit. Now, according to my calculations, we're going to save $50,000 over the course of 5 years. Now, that assumes that there's no increase from South Jersey Gas, and South Jersey Sanitation, rather, and we know that likely there will be, but because it's a no-bid contract, it does leave room for, potential savings elsewhere. I don't understand, because of the way it's written, who's paying for the cans. Is it included in the contract or is it not? That's a question I think it's really exciting. I have those similar kind of cans. To have orange and blue cans would be really cool, and to have uniformity. I get the idea. I'm not opposed to it, but I feel like, hurry up, here it is, we're going to just shove it down your throat. That's a problem. If you don't engage with the community, you're not going to get our knowledge and our experience that can help you make your decisions. Bulk pickup is not included. It's been removed from the new ordinance. That's going to be an additional expense, one way or another. Whether the city chooses to provide it at a later date, it is an additional expense, or if people just wind up dumping. I live in an alley, which, thank you so much for correcting that. I was going to thank you later. But people dump back there all the time. And it happens. Mattresses, TVs, it happens all the time. People dumping by Ferguson Court. So again, bulk pickup is not included in the current contract. So that $50,000 over 5 years is going to be a loss somewhere that's going to have to be made up. White goods, tires, appliances and tires. Again, another expense that's not considered in the current contract that you're considering passing tonight. We're going to be expanding multifamily units. So right now, any rooming house or a multifamily unit that has more than 5 units is required to provide their own trash collection. We're expanding that, from what I'm understanding, from 5 units to 10. That means that any building, any landlord that has 10 units, whether it's 10 rooms in a rooming house or, 10 separate apartments, that's going to cost us more, and that's a given to a landlord who's profiting off of the average family, the average small independent family in the city. So these are issues that need to be addressed. The landlords are going to take a hit, I get it, and in my opinion, just my opinion, rightfully so. That's a business, they're profiting from it. So yeah, you're going to take a hit with your bulk waste and all that, I get it. But we really need to address the whole thing before we push it through, because you don't know exactly what you're getting into if you don't know how we're going to address bulk pickup. If you don't know how we're going to, I assume you know how we're going to pay for cans. I just don't, because it's not in there. How are we going to do the white goods? How are we going to provide the services that we already are providing? And Millville has some of the least trash collections in the county already. So we're going to cut it even more for a potential savings of, let's just give you $100,000, the $50,000 from the contract and potential increases from South Jersey Sanitation. But when you add on the expense of bulk pickup, when you add on the expense of illegal dumping that needs to be cleaned up, when you add on the expense of white goods and tires, are we saving anything? That's all. It's something that we need to consider before we move forward. And a 5-year contract means we can't go back for 5 more years. So we're going to be stuck with this decision. It's a big decision that needs to be made that affects every person in this community. Thank you.
You're welcome, Angelina. Thank you.
Good evening, Richard Swaim, 108 Burns Road. As before, when I talked, I like numbers. I could not find the difference in cost between the waste management plan we have in now and this new proposed. How much is it actually saving us? My wife did read off the website that it was going to be 1 trash can per family per week and 1 recycle trash can per family bi-monthly. Anybody have more than 2 kids or a dog and 2 kids and gets the paper? You're going to fill up a trash can in a week. I remember when we used to have trash, recycles, and then that little red bucket for cardboard and paper. And now that's no longer used. Now it's everything, metal, plastic, and newspaper and cardboard in 1 trash can. I'm sorry, my wife and I get the Lang City Press, Philadelphia Inquirer, and we can fill up half a trash can in 2 weeks, especially with the Sunday edition and the great little Save-A-Lot plastic newspaper clippings we get every Friday on our driveway. So I'd really like to know how much it is we're saving or we're spending. It was told to me by a local business owner that our recycle money that we get is supposed to pay for the cost of operation for the waste management. So I'd just like to break down the numbers. It's easy. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Richard.
Gilbert Matos. I live in Millville now. I used to live in Vineland. I have a lot of relatives in Vineland. They got the new system. The new system works this way. There's a list of things you don't put in there. I had hardly find a system where you can put in there. And the thing of it is, you have 2 cans. 2 cans, you have part of your house, you're stuck. You know what's happening in Vineland? A lot of them are putting them out the trash out in the backup areas, the forest areas. They're dumping them there because there's nowhere to go with it. You're going to increase one thing and decrease another. I don't know what the cost is going to be for this. I heard the thing was $18 a family or something like that. Oh, $18, some of these older people can't afford $18. You got to look at the system that's going in, even in Vineland. You know, you're looking at a town that's bigger than us. I lived there all my life. But I come to here, now they're going to do the same thing over here. What are you going to do with the other trash can bag that you have at your house? You're going to save it for next week? No, you're going to put it somewhere. You're not going to have it in your own backyard. And you've got a lot of trash. Yes, you're always going to have a lot of trash. But consider it. You put 2 cans out there, you got a family with kids and nieces and nephews and everything else, and you're going to have more than 2 there. Then you have a list of things you can't put in there, and you have to put a list that you can put in there. You know, when you get family from violence saying, can you put your trash in your house? This is what we're going to have. They're not going to put it in my house. They're not going to put it in that. They're going to put it in your yard. They got to get rid of it, or you're going to have the thing that you have in Boston right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Matos.
Good evening. Tamara Isayu, ISA, JIW, Millville. I'm going to discuss or bring up the bond ordinance regarding to North High. I am here on my own accord and without any coaching or prompting. I'm here because I am in disbelief in what I'm observing this commission is doing and the direction you're taking the city. I can't figure out what your definition is of good things to come or things will get ugly. The most baffling is the resolution to purchase and convert 2 North High to a court building, especially when this building is in the newly created Opportunity Zone. The hasty and somewhat vague explanation on the decision will prevent a viable building to be sold at fair market value to an entity that can take advantage of the zone and possibly create it into a rateable. Even though it was mentioned that there was plenty of thought and study prior, you are going to purchase a building without truly knowing the real estate value, feasibility, or any study of how this building can operate as a court. Where is the real estate data and feasibility studies? Or did you just say yes because an arbitrary person from the state or local municipality said the building was suitable? I will not repeat the name that was mentioned at the last commission meeting since it would be unethical. Did the commission consider parking, waiting space, prisoner transport? Did you have discussion or input with the businesses in the area as to how it may affect them? How will the traffic be affected, especially since it is already one of the busiest intersections in the county? Did you even truly take the time to consider what other locations can be utilized as a court? Did you consider these chambers? It is obvious that this space could use some improvements. It is dated, we can see that. But it could have a dual purpose as it is not used continuously every day. Again, from your vague and fumbled explanation, it is extremely apparent that you did not even attempt to find a suitable place nor bother with real estate value, especially since the CCIA has been in discussion regarding transitions since summer of 2018. You also have shown no proof, nor could you articulate any results of any findings. All that was said was a lot of thought was put into it. The only entity that is capitalizing on this deal is the CCIA, who is making a large profit off your baffling decision to proceed. The CCIA is confident that you will approve the sale, which just proves that this has been in discussion for a long time. In fact, the CCIA has already approved the contract to sale. In that time frame, you could have studied a bit better. I'm not saying that there should not be any improvements to the court and police building, but why the urgency? The police building and court have been operating the same way since you have been a commissioner, Mr. Parent. Why all of a sudden is there a sense of urgency to spend $1.5 million of taxpayers' money, especially on the heels of $2.7 million and counting to tear down a building? Was there some kind of plan to make that space the new court building and the plans were thwarted? In closing, I would like to give you a word to remember. The word is trust. To be an effective leader, you must be trustworthy. The problem is that trust takes a lifetime to earn and a moment to lose, and hardly ever is earned back. This commission is very, very, very quickly losing trust. You are not making the best and most informed decisions for the good of the people and the city. Heck, we can't even figure out if things are just ugly or if this is all the good things that are coming. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
If I could remind the public, there is a public hearing on that issue at 18.1, and there's a public hearing on the trash at 18.2. So I would ask that you withhold your comments until we get to those items.
Well, hold on a second, hold on. Go ahead, Mrs.
Yeah, you can
Montione.
comment on the resolutions, but I'm talking about the two ordinances.
Well, I'll speak
18.1,
about
18.2.
I'll speak about the Betty Montione, in case you forgot.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll speak about the courthouse later, but right now I want to ask a couple of questions about the trash. If somebody steals your can, what do? Are you going to charge that person to replace the can? I mean, there's a whole bunch of people out there waiting for this answer. Do you have an answer?
We will answer that later, Betty. We have an
Oh.
answer for you.
That's what, we never get answers. I'm sorry.
We'll answer it for you later.
I know. That's what you always say.
Well, that's the way it's supposed to be.
Well, yeah, I know. I agree 100%. Just do it later. That's all I'm asking. That was one thing about the trash. Now, I know that you and Mr. Parent drive Sharp Street all the time, just like I do. Because you live over that way, he lives over that way, and I live. I go by there. There's two sofas, a chair, all kinds of furniture in front of this house on Sharp Street that's been there for days on end. I mean, I don't like to pick up the phone and call and get anybody in trouble, but that's your guys' job, is to see these things. You'd think you would have done something by now. And it happens all the time. This is not just a one-time incident. A lot of times you go by and that house has got tons of trash, furniture, and big items sitting there for days on end. And if this guy was getting fined, or girl, or whoever it is, I'm quite sure they wouldn't keep doing it. And as far as the people with their trash not having enough room, you're going to have it all over. There's a lot of woods and there's a lot of parks, and you can't keep an eye on all these all the time. They're going to go out and dump it. That's for sure, because they're not going to dump it in their own yard. So I don't know what to say, but it just seems to me like that everything you do is to bring the city down and bring the people down. You hide everything you do. You're not upfront. You're not honest. I mean, I can't be as eloquent as they were. I mean, they put it beautifully. And everything they said, I feel double. And I'm so disappointed that the direction that this city's going to, with secrets and closed doors, it was never like that. We may not agreed a lot on different issues, but they always answered the questions, whether you liked it or not. And this is like some kind of Gestapo. Just do it and slam it down your throat. And if you don't like it, pay your taxes and keep your mouth shut. Thank you.
You're welcome, Betty. Thank you.
Good evening, Kirk Hewitt, Millville. I'm speaking basically to the resolution for this contract, not to any of the ordinances. Everybody basically said what needs to be said, and I pretty much feel they made their point. I got one suggestion. Vineland went through this, going on 2 years now. You guys got to be talking back and forth at times. You know, you meet each other. Speaking of the Vineland Council, City Council members, the mayor. They had a very rough transition. They threw Vineland into the situation just like this is happening. Nobody knew what you were going to do with your broken appliance that always got picked up on your last pickup of the month. Nobody knew what was going to go on with those couple tires that, like in my case, Cedar Street with a big empty lot next door, that they try and throw them out the back of the truck into that lot, but they wind up in my yard, so I put them out. I don't want a ticket for that. I'm cleaning up my area. maybe the smartest thing to do, I realize we don't do things that way in life, all of us, sometimes. Maybe the smartest thing on the resolution would be to table that. Give it 2 more weeks. This does not go into effect until April 1st of next year. You got 2 more weeks.
But trucks have to be ordered, that's the problem.
I realize that, but they had to be ordered when you talked about this 5 months ago also, because back then they had to be ordered by August. We're past August. I remember. We were all here. It was discussed. Now they got to be ordered by then. You got 2 more weeks. See if you can figure out the answers. Put them in the ordinance. Make it law. Make the bulk pickup law. That's all. That's all we're asking. It may be the best thing in the world that you're going to do. After the transition, it seems like a lot of the Vineland people are happy with it, but they've learned how to deal with it. The last thing that could be, worst thing come out of this, we got to go to the CCIA, to the county dump, and pay to get rid of, if I tear a roof off my shed. Bulk pickup would have taken that if I bagged it and put it out a little bit at a time. What's going to happen with this? Research it, put it into the resolution, make it law, and then you get to give everybody the answers. A lot of them will be happy. Some will never be happy. That's just life in general. But table it. Work on it for a couple weeks. Talk to Vineland. See the hurdles. Shoot, the mayor told a citizen there when they asked about an extra bag of trash. If I have an extra bag of trash sometime, I know I was there. They don't just come here. What can I do with it? The mayor said, well, it won't be no problem. Set it next to the can. It laid there. They got a ticket. They don't pick up anything that's next to the cans. They just don't. I average 4 bags in a kitchen can a week of trash. The only way that those 4 bags, right now I just take them out because I don't want my cans blown on Cedar Street. I take them out of the cans and set the bags alone. Have done that for 18 years. Now, in order for me to fit those 4 bags, a family of 3, into those cans, the size that we're going to get, I'm looking at, we're probably going to get the same size Vineland got. I will have to empty my trash bags into there because 3 bags will not fit with the lid closed. There's lots of things to research. Maybe ask some people. Table it. Let it slide for 2 weeks. You got time. ACUA, they'll order their trucks a month late. They were going to order them. Yeah, they had to know by August, but like I say, that's going. So,
then our contract will be expired, and we'll have to negotiate a new contract with a private hauler, and there's hardly any private haulers left.
But doesn't our contract expire?
Almost every single municipality in the county has signed these agreements, and that's the trend. It's happening to Cape May County,
I know.
too.
And you had Earth Tech sold out all their small stuff. I realize that.
They're just, it's a difficult situation. It really is.
But the contract actually expires 2 months before this contract is supposed to be taken in, if I read the agenda correctly and the packet. The contract's going to be expired with South Jersey Waste Management before the contract goes into effect on April 1st. So again, that doesn't matter. Take the 2 weeks, figure it out. Just make it right, make it law, cover all the bases. So we don't have to come back and sound like we're fighting with you at this podium every time one of us gets up here. Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt.
There was a discrepancy in the contract. We had to change the resolution.
Is she walking up?
I think there's continuous coverage.
Christina Pantelis Royer, Millville resident. I do have a lot of the same questions that were brought up earlier about, recycling every 2 weeks. I know it's going to be a hardship on a lot of people, especially if you go down some of these developments. Look at my house. I throw recycling cans out a week. I have kids. My house is always full of kids. Not my kids. My house is like this kid central. Between the trash, recycling, everything else, it's going to be hard. I'm spending a lot of time at the soccer fields. I walk the sand pits, the trails back there. Has anyone been back there recently? It is ridiculous with the dumping. I can only imagine how much worse it's going to be. It's going to get. It really is. Kurt's position, opinion about tabling it, that would probably be, that's what I was going to come up and talk about. Tabling would be the best thing. Please, let's get our answers first before we rush. And I do have a comment. About a little less than a year and a half ago, I called, where I previously lived. There was a landlord that always used to bring his trash from his properties in Bridgeton. Called the city several times to complain. Had it on video. Large stuff, tenants moving out. I kept on getting a response. We'll look into it. We'll look into it. Nothing was done until I figured out what happened. Guy goes to me, comes across the street, goes, "Stop calling the city. Nothing's going to get done." So you know what? That's what a good majority is. A lot of landlords have properties in the city, and other cities were bringing it here. So that answers a lot of questions. Why we maybe have to go this route.
Thank you, Christina. Anyone else? I close the public comments on agenda items. Old business, Madam Clerk.
There is no old business.
Petitions and letters.
Okay, I just need a motion to authorize the mayor's signature acknowledging receipt of notification from Atlantic City Electric pursuant to the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities Regulation NJAC 14:5-9 of upcoming line clearance vegetation management activities by Asplin Tree Expert Company on behalf of Atlantic City Electric to begin within the next 2 to 3 months.
Mr. Mayor, move this correspondence be received and filed.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Second item is correspondence received from the New Jersey Motorsports Park submitting their schedule of events for October 2019.
Mr. Mayor, I move to receive and file this correspondence.
Second motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Excuse me. Reports of commissioners. Commissioner Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And from the Parks Department, in the last 2 weeks, we have cut over 24 properties. I was told people want to hear those properties. Okay, so I'll let you know. Airwork, 14th Pine, 815 North Street, 208 West McNeil, 412 Mulberry, 318 Mulberry, Lakeside, Shannon's Complex, 603, 605 Mulberry, 23 East McNeil, 4 West Powell, 401 East Vine Street, Old Fleet area, Old Wheaton property, Millville Gardens, Millville Laundry, Fowler Road, Old Texaco, Brown's Gas Station, Delsey Gardens, City Park Lot area, 1106 Brookdale, 511 Buck Street, and the Walking Trail. Upcoming projects, we are hoping to start our last pass on the grass cutting for the season. Looking forward to the cooler air in the Parks Department. We also started our winterization in our irrigation systems. So we will look to do this over the next month. Dog Park, we held our first meeting in September, and our next meeting will be held next Tuesday, October 8th at Union Lake Park, located at Sharp and Columbia. Upcoming events, Holly City Walking Club has started every Tuesday and Thursday until May 28th. The time, 6:30 to 7:30 at Lakeside. Scarecrow Contest. Seen lots of scarecrows out there on High Street. Check out the scarecrows on High Street. So in a week or so, we'll be posting the annual judging survey. Make sure you go on and vote for your favorite scarecrow. The link will be posted on Millville's Recreation and Volunteer Committee Facebook group and the city website. The next RBC meeting will be held Wednesday, October 16th at the Millville Center, the Senior Center, located at 1500 South 2nd Street. Bring your ideas. We are currently working on a winter festival, and if you would like to get involved, please attend. Light snacks will be provided for creative thinking fuel. Pumpkin Extravaganza. We would like to thank the Millville Municipal Alliance Committee, Silver Run, PTO, and Holly City Development Corporation for partnering with us to make the Pumpkin Extravaganza bigger and better. It will take place Saturday, October 26th on Pine Street between 2nd and 3rd, so there's a change of location there. Not at Corson. It's going to be on Pine between 2nd and 3rd, like Play Streets. There will be games, trunk or treat, costume contests, pumpkin decorating, and more. And with that, Mr. Mayor, moving forward.
Thank you, Commissioner Cooper. Commissioner Pepitone.
Yeah, I'd like to begin by sharing last Sunday, the Millville Historical Society had an open house of the old Woods home right on Union Lake. It was for members, and being a member, having the opportunity to see the old house, the location, learning from an individual who was from Stockton University who has spoken all over the world about of our area and how the Indians use this area for trading, et cetera, was a wonderful experience. It was a great time for the individuals who were there to meet and talk about the history of Millville. And I would encourage anyone, if you have interest in the history of Millville, please join the Historical Society. Brian is here. I'm sure he can. Greg, I'm sorry. Greg, I apologize. Can give you, I guess you have forms or something for them to... Okay. Well, we could have other ones at the either at City Hall or get them to you if you're interested. But it was a wonderful event. And like I said, being a member, just having the opportunity to visit that house and see the history of the city and what went on in its past, how it came to be about, was worth it. Also, I want to share that on October 31st, Trunk or Treat, from 4 to 7 p.m., please join us for a spectacular event at the First Methodist Church parking lot, 3rd and Pine Street. Happy Halloween, sponsored by Millville Police Department, Millville Fire Department, Millville Office of Emergency Management, and Spear Rescue Squad. Millville Police Explorers, come and check out the emergency vehicles and get some candy. And as for the police report that I said that was going to be here, it has been handed in, but as I understand, it's read at the following meeting. So at the next meeting, I'll actually have copies of the police report that I promised you guys. And with that, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Pepitone. Commissioner Udalvis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In regard to the Zoning Board of Adjustment, the department advises residents that the upcoming meeting of the Zoning Board will be held on Thursday, October 3rd at 6:30 p.m. in the Richard C. McCarthy Commission Chamber on the 4th floor of City Hall. In regard to the October meeting of the Planning Board, please note that the next meeting will be held on Monday, October 7th at 6:30 p.m. in the Richard C. McCarthy Commission Chamber on the 4th floor of City Hall. The meeting will be held on this date due to observation of Columbus Day on Monday, October 14th. The department expresses its gratitude to not only Planning Board members, but also the public as it seeks to accommodate the adjustment in scheduling from the second Monday of the month to the first Monday in the month of October. Providing a brief report from the Planning Department, revisions to the draft of the zoning plan will be reviewed by the Planning Board and provided to the Commission for consideration throughout the month of November. In regard to community development, the Department of Public Affairs represented the City of Millville through attending the recent Cumberland County Community Heart and Soul Workshop for the Community Foundation of South Jersey Grant held on September 18th at the RRCA building on High Street in Millville. Meeting with local residents and representatives throughout the county, Community Heart and Soul representatives provided a presentation with examples from previous municipalities and communities throughout the country who have leveraged impactful grant making through matching grant funding opportunities. Upon completing the phase of submitting letters of interest for communities, the process of selecting finalist communities will be announced for the October 14th opening of the grant application window. In other news related to community development, the next neighborhood planning meeting, hosted by Holly City Development Corporation, is scheduled for Thursday, October 3rd from 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at the Creative Enterprise Center at 14 East Mulberry Street. The purpose of the meeting will be to form and collaborate using the model of the neighborhood action committees. Information regarding this meeting and upcoming meetings pertaining to neighborhood planning may be learned from Lisa Romano of the Holly City Development Corporation. And with the conclusion of this report, Mr. Mayor, progress.
Thank you, Commissioner Udalvis. Vice Mayor?
Nothing at this time, Mayor.
Okay. I have nothing either, so let's keep moving on here. Ordinance on second reading, please.
Okay. We have an ordinance, bond ordinance authorizing the acquisition of real property and building from the Cumberland County Improvement Authority and making capital improvement to the building and to the police building, appropriating $1,600,000 to pay the cost thereof, to authorize the issuance of $1,500,000 bonds to finance the appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in the anticipation of the issuance of bonds.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this proposed ordinance on second and final reading.
Second motion.
This is an ordinance on second reading. Anyone that has any comments or concerns concerning item number 1 on ordinance reading, second reading, please step up to the mic, state your name and your concerns, and limit your comments to 5 minutes, please.
Good evening, Angeline Broomhall, Millville. I want to remind you guys that you have a work session that you've never utilized, ever. You come in, you go to your closed session. That's the opportunity you have to communicate with each other and with the public in an informal format. Half of the problems you guys incur is because you don't communicate, because you lied when you said you were looking for transparency. Lied. Didn't mislead, lied. Now, work on that. You have a work session for a reason. You're about to borrow, still spending $1.6 million additional dollars of ours, right? Cutting services. I want to point something out to you. In addition to your nice fat tax increase from this year and the one you're planning for next year, you took money out of the trust fund, the insurance trust fund. What, $2 million? Something like that to help balance your budget. You also depleted, you took out of the surplus 35% of our surplus. Mr. Pepitone said last week in a private conversation that the previous commission left us nothing. Actually, they had an increase their final year of 4.7%. You guys decreased it by 3.5%. And now you have the audacity, the nerve to come here for something non-essential. While we can't get an ambulance out here, you have the audacity to buy a building that we sold it for $200, and you want to borrow with my money $1.6 million more dollars? The fiasco at the Eagles building? You should be ashamed. And I don't mean to attack you, but for real. How many people's water are you going to shut off tonight? Can anybody answer that question? You don't know, because I guarantee you didn't look at the list. You're just going to pass it and shut people's water off. I guarantee not one of you can tell me how many people, how many families you're going to vote tonight to shut their water off. But yet, you're going to risk people's lives. I bet. In addition, I'll add to that as to how much we supposedly have done our research, because I've done a little of my own. Sent an Oprah request asking for all of these inspection reports and all that, right? We did our due diligence. I got an email back. That's all I got. There was an email sent to the state asking for them to come and inspect. A week later, someone says, okay, I'll come inspect. I'm available tomorrow. Let me know. That's it. Where's the inspection? Where's the due diligence? Where's the report from the construction department saying how much it's going to cost to repair these buildings and to bring them to do these things? There is none. There are no reports from the construction official. There are no reports from the city engineer. Where are they? Well, it doesn't matter. Yes, sir. It doesn't matter, right? $1.6 million for my friends, the CCIA, my political backers, my political supporters. And I'm a Democrat, so I can say it, and I will. Check my records. I'm sure you already have. That's what this is. This isn't what's best for the police department, because you know when this bond payment comes due, the police are going to get laid off. You've already drained us. And you're already planning another increase next year. We know it. We're all bracing. Our butt cheeks are tight. But you can't keep doing this. How many kids are in those households that you're going to shut their water off? How many kids? You know? You don't care. It's okay. You're going to hire our friends. Keep Doug Long in here. Get Schroeder back in here. It'll all be good. It's not good. It's not good. It's unacceptable, and you should be ashamed of yourselves.
Thank you, Angelina Broomhall.
I'm scared to come up to the microphone now. Richard Swain, Millville. Some miscellaneous things. Commissioner Pepitone, on your October 10th vehicle something day, I saved this from the recycle bin because it was too full. Kudos to you, sir, because New Jersey is the 4th lowest fatality rate for road fatality, I'm sorry to say. So I wanted to bring that up just because you brought it up. Everybody's mother and grandmother in here, and I mean everybody in this room, has heard their mother, grandmother go, well, just because Johnny did it doesn't mean you have to do it. So city attorney, just because Vineland, Cape May County, and Bridgeton got to do it doesn't mean we have to do it. The BOA building, we sold for $200K. Now we're going to buy for $1 million or $1.6 million for bonds in 8 years. That's a huge increase because my property value has only increased $200 in the last 15 years. It's $1.6 million just to purchase the building. The last 4 years I spent in uniform, both overseas and abroad to places unknown, were about security. That doesn't account for an architect coming in to redesign that building. You need a place to house the newly convicted. How are you going to transport the newly convicted from the old BOA building to the police station to get them fingerprinted and put into service? You have judges' chambers. You have district attorney and prosecutors' chambers. You have families waiting to pay. Are we still going to pay fines in the old police department, or are you going to make a new building? So 1.6 is just for the building. That doesn't include all the amenities we have to run through. We have to do cameras. We have to do security, internet. There's a lot more money that we got to spend to make that place a courthouse. I like this room right here. It's pretty. I just saved you $800,000, so the next time I pay city taxes will be in 40 years. But I would like to see the plans. I mean, before you buy a building, I'm sure you have a plan in place on this is what's going to be done. This is what this room is going to be done. I don't know. I couldn't find it on the website. So I was just wondering if there's been an architect retained to rezone or change, improve that building, and how much is that going to cost us? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Swain.
Good evening. My name is Frank Nardi. I own a business down on your high street. I've been in business now for 10 years as of this year. I'm in the process of rebranding my business, and I have to tell you, it's a little disappointing because I'm actually in the process of also thinking about leaving your town. Okay? I own a tattoo shop. To most people, they don't care. Okay? I'm located at 16 North High. I'm in the Artisan's Walk. I'm one of the businesses that's going to be directly affected. I don't know how many business people are here tonight, but I speak for everyone that's in that building. We don't want it. We don't want it. We don't want our patrons to be around that element. We have an element in this town that we deal with on a daily basis, whether it's in the parks or if it's public affairs. It doesn't matter. We have clients that are afraid to come here after dark. They're afraid to go to Andrea's. They cancel because they're afraid. They don't want to park because not only is there not enough parking, but they're afraid to walk. They're afraid to walk your street, your streets, that you say you claim to have and want to protect and build. Your district is not failing, it's failed. And I'm in the business district, and it doesn't take pride in me to say that. I came here for a reason. My family have been in business in this town for a very long time. Don B. Franks. Many of you know who I speak. I was the one that went around with the old man in a lot of your homes. That's why I chose to move my business here. And unfortunately, I'm now thinking about leaving, along with other businesses that I talk to. What benefit does it bring us to have you move City Hall or the courthouse next to us? We don't want it. We don't want our patrons to be exposed to that element when they're already exposed to enough of it as it is. We lose clients daily. We lose patrons daily. It's an ongoing thing that we've seen, and we can show you numbers because we track everything. How many people, in this room go to court on a daily basis? We all know who goes to court on a daily basis. People who are, habitual offenders. It's as simple as that. There are better ways to spend that money. You can put it into your police department. They're overworked. They're underpaid and understaffed. That's a fact. Why not put some of that money there and get officers to walk the street again? We have no officers walking High Street anymore. They don't. It's as simple as that. I'm there every day. They don't walk High Street. Your own people of Millville are afraid of High Street and the element that's there. We all know what it is. We all don't have to say what it is, but we are aware of it. We know what it is. If you're going to spend $1 million and some dollars, spend it somewhere where it needs to be spent. Somewhere that'll actually make a difference for all of us. It'll help your revenue. It'll help your taxes. It'll bring in business. You know how many vacant buildings you have? Go take a look. Go take a walk. Take a walk and take a look. And if you don't believe me about what I'm saying about the presence of other things, then go take a walk tonight, 8 o'clock at night. Go walk down High Street. Go walk down Pine. Let me know how you feel. That's how your people feel. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nardi.
Betty Montleone, I, for one, am afraid to go down High Street. My husband and I used to go to Andrea's for dinner. We haven't been in there in over a year. Even with the both of us, we don't go there. And the more you guys do, the more people and the more businesses are going to leave, because that's what you're doing to this town. Mr. Pepitone asked me after the meeting last time, what did the last commission do? And he really didn't give me a chance to answer. But I tried to explain to him, with the last commission, we had 3 people who voted constantly together. That was Quinny, Santiago, and Ennis. Lynn and Joe, I don't mean to embarrass them, that they're here. And they have nothing, they don't even know I'm going to mention their name. They had no opportunity to do anything until the last 18 months. And they did more in that 18 months than most 5 commissioners has done in all the years I have lived here. We had no tax increase. They hired cops. Our trash was picked up. Even our streets got swept once in a while. They were starting businesses. They all didn't come once this group took over. I don't know what you do. You drive them away. But you drive the businesses that are here and the citizens away. It just amazes me that you are thinking about bringing this courthouse on High Street, that you've spent how many millions and millions and millions of dollars because it's your arts district? It's a failed project already. You're going to make sure it fails by putting a courthouse there. And I don't see, if you don't want to use this room, the church is for sale. You wouldn't be taking anything off St. John Bosco's. You wouldn't be taking a building off of the tax ratables. They already don't pay tax. It's a gigantic building, a big parking lot. There's a house. You could convert that to hold the prisoners and walk them across the parking lot. Maybe it's not a good idea. I don't know, but you didn't look into it. You didn't look into nothing. Evidently, as Pepitone said, we did our due diligence. Well, maybe that's what's wrong with the whole town as a whole. Your due diligence isn't getting done. It just makes me sick. It really does. My friends have all gone. They don't live here anymore. They all packed up and left. I was ready to, but I got so sick I couldn't pack. So I got stuck. And meanwhile, getting stuck by property values go down, down, down. And eventually you can't even sell your house to get enough out of it. to go anywhere else because those values are going up, up, up. Doesn't that make you realize you're doing something wrong? And let me tell you, you buy this building at the corner here, and for a court, it's crooked. Everybody that votes for it is crooked because you did this deliberately. There's no excuse for it. And anybody that has two peas to run together, know that's a stupid idea. So go ahead and do it. Let the whole town know how crooked you really are. Thank you.
Thank you, Betty.
Good evening, Kirk Hewitt, Millville. To touch base a little bit on what Angel started to say, I have that Oprah also. Again, no need to mention names. Everybody sitting up there knows who we're talking about, or if we're talking about you. The first email was sent. I'll go this far. The first email was sent referring to what you said, Commissioner Pepitone, that you did your due diligence. The state came down. Everybody looked. Nothing better than on the corner. First email was sent February 4th, 2019 from this building to Trenton, to an Ashley Walk, New Jersey, courts.gov. I'll read it. The city is exploring moving our court to a building a short distance from where a court is presently located. Our court administrator suggested we reach out to you to begin the process for your unit approving the new location. Please advise how you would like to move forward. Got an answer back February 11th. That's this year, both these dates. I apologize for delaying the response, mentioning the possibility of a tour of the new facility, which would be much appreciated. Our role to provide support during this process and to provide any information so that the facility meets the needs of the court. I can be available all day tomorrow, anytime before noon Wednesday, and anytime after 12 on Thursday for a tour if that's convenient. Again, I apologize for the delayed response, which was only 7 days, 5 working days. Look forward to hearing back from you. The email chain stops. Mr. Pepitone, what buildings did you look at? What due diligence did you do that you talked about at the last meeting? You know, we stand here and people get upset. Yeah, we all get upset. You guys get upset sometimes. It's natural. The other night there was a meeting at CCIA building. CCIA holds their meetings at a very inconvenient time. They don't want anybody there. And if you go there and think you're going to talk, you might as well think you're going to go outside, jump up, and land on the moon. It's not going to happen to CCIA. There was a person that sits on the board at CCIA, or whatever they call it, the governors maybe, who knows, that stated in the meeting that you guys did not approve. He doesn't even realize what's going on, but I know he talks to you every day. That you guys did not approve the purchase last meeting to move the ordinance forward. If I remember correctly, 4 of you did. 1, thank you, did not vote for that to happen. But then he goes on to finish his statement. The commission and he does not expect any problems with confirming and approving this after October 1st commission meeting. What does that say? What does that say to everybody out here in the room? CCIA was confident at their meeting the other day that there would be no problems with this being approved here tonight. Something's wrong. I'm going to ask one more question, and this should finish it. Has anybody, you did a lot of looking, supposedly, has anybody even looked into the fact of whether that building is up to code, current compliant? And this affects you, Mr. Kears, because you're really involved with it. With ADA compliance, is that building up to code for handicapped access? If it's not, you better walk away, because you're going to spend millions and millions more probably getting that done. That's all I got for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt.
Paul Pareca Jr. I've been a real estate broker in Millville for 32 years. And I can tell you with 100% confidence that there is nobody that's going to pay $1 million for that building except somebody that hasn't looked at the value of the buildings in Millville. But besides that point, everybody's pretty much expressed all the stuff that needs to be expressed, is that there are no reviews, there's no reports, there's no drawings, there's no designs. Nothing has been presented to the public to be able to make a decision as to whether or not this is a good decision. I don't know if it's a good decision. First off, I don't know if the police need more space or how much they need, because I haven't seen a report from them. I don't know what they're going to be doing in 10 years. Are we going to make enough space with just that building or just fixing up the police station? Will, in addition to the police station, work? Can we move the baseball field? That's probably not going to go over well with sports people, but can that be moved and the other field made a park? Those two fields put someplace else. You got parking. You got a way to expand City Hall and expand the police station. When a private developer wants to build a building in town, he has to come to the planning board with plans, drawings, designs. Parking has to comply with all the zoning ordinances, has to comply with all the building specifications, has to comply with the parking. We haven't seen any of that for this building. I think it's a little early to make the decision to buy that, rather than look at several other projects that could be done either cheaper, longer lasting, or actually better for the police and the community as a whole. We've got the school coming up. Memorial School is going to be vacant. That's my understanding. I'm not sure if that's 100%. There's a plan that the school board has for it, but they're going to take the high school students that are in there now and put them in the new revamped high school. What's going to happen with that building? If you're going to give $1 million to somebody, it would make more sense to give the $1 million to the school board than to give it to the Cumberland County Improvement Authority that already has a successful business. If you take the money and give it to the school board, you're giving my money and the other taxpayers' money to another entity that we're also giving money to, which helps level the playing field an awful lot. Why would you want to give my money to the Cumberland County Improvement Authority when you're already paying them to take my trash? It's something that you guys really need to slow down, take a better look at it, come up with a couple of different plans, show them to the people, and convince us why that is the best thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul Pareca Jr. Anyone else? I close the public hearing on ordinance number 1.
Would it be appropriate to make a comment by
Sure.
Commissioner?
Go ahead, Commissioner.
I had expressed previous concerns regarding the bonding of this facility acquisition and the cost associated, and I continue to maintain that my opposition does not stem from opposition to the CCIA, but rather the loss of an opportunity to create a capital improvement and investment plan that could leverage resources to create a future outcome for the city facilities that would create a custom fit for the growing needs of our court and our police department. This concludes my statement, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else?
To quickly answer a couple of questions, as for being ADA compliant, we have had our inspections individual, Robin, review everything in the building. Plans have been drawn, redrawn, readopted. Again, I apologize at this point for not bringing the information out to the public. Again, being new, I didn't know the plans. The plans are drawn. The plans were about $60,000. They were done by CCIA in the deal. We're getting the plans that they paid for to have done. The police department, as well as the courts, have been part of this whole process. It's not like we're making a decision and saying, let's just do it. I'm sorry. I know the public, from your perspective, may think that this is an overnight decision that was been made. I can share with you, I don't communicate very well or very little through email, so that's why, where are you? That you don't see your email chain. if you would want to speak with the people within the courts, et cetera, they'll all validate the fact that this is not a knee-jerk response. There is a need. There was presentations made by the people of the courts to the commission. There were police department, police chief also brought issues. This has been gone over. At the last couple meetings, I kind of basically gave that information, and I don't know how to say it over and over again. So with that, I believe I've done the best job that I can do as a commissioner in carrying out the needs and the immediacy of the needs of the police department as well as the courts. And I think we're doing it within the realm of cost that I believe, in speaking with Marcy, it's going to be less than a penny to carry this whole process out in the tax rate to get a building for the courts, to be able to refurbish the police department. I think that's an investment that I'm willing to put my name onto and and support it. So with that, that's what I wanted to share.
Anyone else? Thank you, Commissioner.
Just a quick comment about the price of the building. For CCI purchased it for $200,000. They've done hundreds of thousands of dollars in improvement on that building to get it to where it's at today. So, I guess, they want probably whatever investment they have in the building, for us to do it. No matter where we move.
Far less than the amount of money that they invested.
Yeah. Well, Joe has gone through this 100 times, not only with us, but, with other people for that site. Today, the building's in great shape. There are some small modifications that would have to be done still at the courts that would want to be done. As far as handicap, that has already been addressed by our construction official. He has played a very important part advising us whether it is a sound building or not, or whether it's a wise investment of the money that's going to be spent on that building. It is a good location, folks. I know some people are concerned about it, about the crowding or whatever. We have a complex here at the city. We have City Hall, the police department, and the courts, all within the same radius. If we move the courts downtown farther, we already heard a complaint about downtown Millville. It's not safe. Well, let me tell you, folks, there has not been one person robbed, one person beat up. No problems have we had on High Street at all by the public. Now, if somebody can laugh, you can laugh. But to my knowledge, no one
Can't speak, Mr.
No one
Norwood.
has been beat up.
You'll
No
get a
one
chance
has been
at the end,
robbed.
all right?
No one has been shot. And all the people who come to the Leroy Theater, where do you think they park? They park over on Pine Street. They park up by the library. They don't get out of there until 11 o'clock at night. I don't know of anybody that's been beat up or robbed or car's been broken into. I'm just letting you know that. Somebody, if I'm wrong, fine, get a police report. But to my knowledge, High Street has been a safe venture for our people. We're only out there talking about people feeling that it is not safe. You're putting fright into people going downtown. We have a beautiful place to go. The improvements have to be made within the downtown districts. We all understand that. Okay? But we'll continue to work. We'll continue to do what we can to help the merchants in the downtown district, bringing in any business that we can do. That's what we want to do. But there's been a lot of work done by Commissioner Pepitone on that building. A lot of meetings have been held with a lot of people, including the court clerk. So, it's to me, it's an investment. We have to do something. We have to move the courts out of where it's at, And that's a fact. We need to make improvements in the police building. That's a fact. That's why it's $1.6 million, folks. All that money's not being put into that building. We have a lot of things that have to be done over in the police building. So I'm just trying to bring out a few of the facts, okay? We're here to try to work with you. I know everybody's not happy about the location or spending those types of dollars. No matter where we spend or whether we move the courts, you're talking millions of dollars to renovate any building. Any building. There's no building in the city of Millville where you can walk right in there and say, we can just move the courts right there and be happy about it. It's just not happening. It is not happening. There's no place in Millville for that, or any building I know that can meet the needs of the court system. Okay? So, yeah, that's all I have to say, Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Anyone else? Mr. Cooper? No comments? No? Roll call.
Okay. Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
No.
Commissioner Cooper?
No.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay. So, because
For the record, my understanding, Counselor, that the ordinance has failed.
correct.
Because 3-2 vote, you
Yeah,
need to have
there was a
traffic
3-2 vote.
We got 4.
There's a 3-2 vote, okay, for your information, okay, because you're wondering what's happening. Therefore, the ordinance has failed, okay?
Correct. 4.
Thank you.
Okay. Madam Clerk, next.
Okay. Item 2 is an ordinance amending the City of Millville Municipal Code, Chapter 61, Article 4, Collection and Disposal of Solid Waste, and Article 5, Source Separation, Recyclable Materials.
Joe.
Mr. Mayor, move for the passage of this proposed ordinance on, Joe, it's yours, I'm sorry.
You could read it, Vice Mayor.
Go ahead. You'll find it.
What number are we on?
Yeah.
Top page 18.2.
Turn it over. There we go. Ordinance.
This one?
Yeah, on first reading. Final consideration will be when.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this ordinance on the first reading, with final
No.
consideration given on...
No, I just read ordinance on second reading, item 2. An ordinance amending the City of Millville Municipal Code, Chapter 61, Article 4, Collection and Disposal of Solid Waste, and Article 5, Source Separation of Recyclable Materials.
That'll be yours, Vice Mayor.
Yeah, second motion. Thank you.
Okay.
Did we make a motion?
Yes.
Who made a we did not make a motion. We had a second. One of you guys has to make a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this
Okay.
proposed ordinance on second and final reading.
Final consideration.
With
to be
final
given.
consideration, wait,
October 15th.
October
this is,
15th.
this is first reading.
It's a second reading.
Second reading.
It was introduced 2 weeks ago.
We got it. Thank you for helping, but we have it. We'll straighten it out.
Fair enough.
And Vice Mayor did second it?
Yes, I did.
Okay. This is a ordinance on second reading. Anyone that has any comments concerning this ordinance amending City of Millville Municipal Code, separation of recyclables, please step up to the mic, state your name and your concerns, and limit your comments to 5 minutes, please. Seeing no one, I close ordinance on second reading, item number 2. Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
No.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Ordinance is on first reading. We have an, just keep going. An ordinance authorizing amendment to motor vehicle and traffic regulations, Municipal Code Article 10, Schedule 21, to add parking reserved for handicapped persons at 204 North 7th Street.
Vice Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, move the passage of this proposed ordinance on second final reading.
First reading.
It's first reading. It's first reading.
With final consideration given on
October 15th.
October 15th, after due publication is provided by law.
You got it. Okay.
Thank you,
I need a
Commissioner.
second.
Second. Am I
Second motion.
He just moved.
Any comments?
Second motion.
Yeah.
Okay,
Roll
thank you.
call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Resolutions, please.
A resolution authorizing special assessment of municipal liens for certain properties due to expenses incurred by the City of Millville relating to board and secure, plus administrative fees in accordance with Chapter 11, Article 1, Subsection 11-6 of the Municipal Code.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner
Yes.
Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. We have a resolution authorizing adjustments in the tax and utility records.
Mr. Mayor, move the adoption of this resolution.
Second motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 4 is a resolution authorizing water sewer termination on October 21st, 2019 due to failure to comply with the utility ordinance pursuant to Section 56-18 of the Municipal Code.
Mr. Mayor, move to adopt this resolution.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 5 is a resolution authorizing a shared services agreement between the City of Millville and the Atlantic County Utilities Authority for the collection of solid waste and recyclables for a term of 5 years beginning on April 1st, 2020 through March 31st, 2025, with the first year cost in the amount of $1,025,890. The total cost of the 5-year contract is $5,338,649.
And with that, Mr. Mayor, I have a certification of availability of funds from Marcella Shepard in the amount of $5,338,649. I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second the motion.
Any comments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. In reviewing the most recent award of contract to South Jersey Sanitation, the sole bidder, in a letter dated March 1st, 2019 by Brian Prahowicz, then acting municipal engineer, for the collection of solid waste and recyclable materials for the term of 1 year, the amount of the contract was $1,077,357. The shared services proposal by Atlantic County Utilities Authority to fulfill option number 2 for year 1 in the amount of $1,025,890 provides in 1 year a $51,467 cost reduction to the city. As our city solicitor, city administrator, and I had discussed, the components of the new trash collection model, the inclusion of the trash receptacles belonging to each property, will provide the city with an additional safeguard to promote trash collection that is clean, reduces litter, and creates additional accountability for the quality of the pickup by the ACUA. At this time, I would remit to our city administrator to provide additional comments to some of the questions that we had listed, namely, one, asking about the contract expiration for our current New Jersey sanitation contract.
Current contract that we ran into with South Jersey Sanitation, the one we have now.
Yes.
We went out to bid last year. They were the only bidder. It went up a couple $100,000. I don't have the exact number, but it was considerably higher. There is no one out there anymore. We're getting the year before we did get 2 bids. One was blank. That's how they submitted it. Basically, they didn't want to compete. We moved forward with the ACUA. We have been in discussion with them for many months. It didn't start recently.
Can you hear?
I'm on. Okay.
A little closer.
We've been in discussion with ACUA for many months. We have discussed Vineland. We've spoke with Vineland. We are familiar with the situation in Vineland. We're working along. We've been assured, we've talked to residents from Vineland, that most families will be able to fit their trash into these 2 cans. We discussed long and hard. We picked the lower option to go recycling every other week because I believe it was considerably more. It's in that
In the
option
amount
2.
of, for year 1, with option number 1, of the collection of residential solid waste and residential single-stream recycling, once a week trash collection and once a week recycling collection with trash and recycling carts Monday through Friday. Year 1 was in the amount of $1,149,904 for a 5-year total cost of $5,984,022.
So that was the reason we opted to do recycling every other week. It was a considerable cost saving. I'm trying to think what other questions they asked.
In terms of the volume of the recycling bins in relation to the current recycling bins,
they're big.
They're much larger.
Much larger. Everybody that I've spoke with in Vineland seemed, as a matter of fact, senior citizens in Vineland made special requests to get smaller bins because they couldn't push them to the curb. And we will have to bond for the trash cans. They will have microchips in them. So if someone takes your trash can, we will be able to find them. There is a grant program out there. They won't pay for the entire trash can. I believe the trash cans are in the high 40s, like $49, and I believe the grant pays like $15 a can. So we will apply for the grant, and we will have to bond for the trash cans, but they will be microchipped. So if you lose your trash can, we'll be able to find it. It will not start until April 1st. There will be education. Information will go out to all the residents so everybody understands. And that's part of the reason for doing it now. We need to get the resolution in place so that when we move forward, we can spend 6 months educating our residents before it happens.
Now, I know that when we had evaluated the former contract and when that had been issued for 1 year, and we had looked at that amount, I remember specifically sitting with our city administrator and looking at the rise in the amount of the $1 million and the $77,000 that we were looking at from South Jersey Sanitation, and the fact that there was not competition to help to outbid that. I remember that being a specific concern, and one that I was more surprised that the community didn't actually face us during those meetings to find out exactly what it was that we could do to help remedy that issue. And through looking through ACUA, I really felt that this was more of the city taking a proactive step. And this is my interpretation as a resident. It's my interpretation as a commission member. And I feel at this point, with having this outpouring from the community, that the best evaluation is for me to be honest, completely honest, in having evaluated when that bid was received by the commission and looking at the amount, because we did not see an increase in the amount of services. We did have reports of streets that were missed, and when those streets were missed, they were reported to our Streets and Roads Department. And in speaking with some of the city council members from Vineland, I remember them specifically mentioning that the ACUA and their customer service representatives, in understanding that when there were calls about streets that or pickups that may have not been completely successful, where if there had been litter that was left out or if they had noticed that one of the houses was overlooked, that the customer service response was one that was unparalleled in terms of looking to a separate contractor, that at that point we did not have the option to look at another contractor and compare the services to find the difference.
Correct.
So in explaining this information, it is not in terms of trying to defend my decision, but also to provide to the community some of the struggles that I've faced as a commissioner in terms of looking at the increase in the contract, finding out within the weeks that the contract was awarded that we had streets that were missed, or we had streets in which trash cans were overthrown or they were thrown into the street, or we had issues where even the personal property of the trash receptacles that people purchased with their own money were not being treated in a manner that was what you would expect of the property that would be respected by public property services. So with that regard, that's the one piece of information that I can provide from my perspective as a commissioner, and one that I felt did carry much weight in evaluating this contract. And it is my opinion, from having seen both perspectives, and I just remit it respectfully to the public for your evaluation. I know that you all have your opinions, but also being a commissioner and seeing the problems that we've encountered and looking at the contract and not having the competition that resulted from that, seeing the ACUA's bid of over 5 years, but also seeing the $51,000 plus reduction was really remarkable, because at that point they really did feel that there was an option for the city. They did not go above that, hoping that we were going to sign on for a service that was more expensive. So in terms of providing that to the public for your own evaluation and for your understanding, and having inspected this specifically.
There's two other things I'd like to point out, Commissioner. One is that Vineland has a trash district. That's the reason they pay $18 a month for their trash. The city of Millville will not pay that. That is under their taxes. There will not be a separate bill for trash collection. It's covered under their taxes. And we did actually start our conversation with the ACUA prior to the bid last year. We knew we were going to have a problem because there was nobody out there. ACUA could not get trucks ordered fast enough, so we had no choice but to do a 1-year contract with South Jersey and work. We began probably 9 months immediately after that to gather the information we needed for this.
And also, not to neglect, I know there were many questions regarding the bulky waste, and specifically in this letter that I have dated August 20th, 2019 from the ACUA to Mayor Michael Santiago. I see that we have the following stipulations apply to all services listed above for condominium, solid waste, and recycling collection. 1, 2 bulky waste items will be permitted each trash collection day. 2, carpet cut into 4-foot lengths, rolled and tied, will be accepted as bulk. 3, no tires, white goods, yard waste, hazardous waste, and televisions or electronics will be collected. We currently do have protocol in place for electronics and other items to be collected by our city at our Streets and Roads facility.
Yes. That won't change. That will remain the same.
That will remain the same. Trash and recycling carts will be provided by the city of Millville.
Yes.
And those are the 4 stipulations that I do note on this letter that's dated August 20th, 2019, which I would imagine is also part of the shared service, a public document that would be available to the public for review. Taking into account all of this information, but also taking into account the public's feedback, at this point, I would like to hear the opinion of Mayor Michael Santiago, who's also our Director of Public Works, to find out how Streets and Roads and also his department would respond to the recent changes if implemented from Atlantic County Utilities Authority.
Great question. As you know, Commissioner, and myself, we've been victims of our trash not being picked up. You just recently. It's happened to me several times on my road. I've had my neighbors on both sides have their trash picked up. Maybe because I'm the mayor. I'm not sure. But it is a problem. I think we're going over to a company that's a very professional company. Our streets and roads guys, my supervisor, we're welcoming these guys in because they're going to do a great job for us. One thing I want to mention about the city of Vineland, we complain about their cans, but one thing you have to see when you go to Vineland, this trash pickup, everything looks uniform. There's not trash bags over here. There's not a can back here. Everything's uniform, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for our streets to look a little cleaner, for you to keep your trash in those cans. Trust me, Kurt, I put a lot of trash out myself, and I understand where you're coming from. But there's going to be times where you're going to be able to place those things out, like the commissioner has stated. I think it's a big win for us, and I'm glad that we're saving money out of this in the long run. We are saving money, and again, we're going to have a professional team that's doing an outstanding job in Vineland. It's a different system in Bridgeton. Bridgeton has another company. It's not the same company as Vineland and what we're going to go to. But, Commissioner, you're absolutely right. I think it's going to be a win-win for all of us here, and I think that our streets are going to look a little cleaner and more uniform when it becomes trash pickup. And, again, the contact's going to be there. They do not pick up our trash, they'll be there. We'll have someone directly that we can call. Right now, it may take a few hours to get them to come back, or I have to send my streets and roads guys back out to pick up the trash. So we want to stop that. Anyone else?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
I've talked to a lot of people in different cities that have ACUA, and they're not happy with them. I have relatives in Vineland. I have friends and family in other areas that deal with ACUA. They're not happy with them. Myself, I have 2 kids. We put a lot of trash out. You're going to tell me I have 1 can? 1 can. And 1 recyclable. What do I do with all the rest of it? Being the commissioner of parks, I'm going to tell you what happens with the rest of it. It's in my parks. We end up cleaning up a lot of it because people just dump there. So if you know you're going to have 1 can for regular trash and 1 can for recyclable, what's going to happen now? Well, you can't buy another can? How are you going to get another can? Where are you going to put all this extra trash at? Illegal dumping is rampant in Millville. It's rampant. I understand there's a cash savings, but at the same time, we deserve better service. And I think that we can get both if we research it a little bit more. And when you ride around, and I understand you want uniformity, it looks good, it looks pretty, but one of the things that we campaigned on was a clean and safe city. I can't say that this is going to make our city look cleaner, but it'll make it look more uniform. Oh, so it's uniform as it's dirtier out there. As a commissioner, we have done 7 cleanups in the city. 7. And I can tell you, we clean up a lot. Tires, white trash, white goods. There's things out there that you wouldn't see, but I see them because I'm out there. I'm picking them up myself. My department's picking them up myself. I understand that this is the wave of the future. However, can we make it better? Can we make a better deal for our citizens, for our city? We don't have to do what everybody else is doing. We can do something better. And let's take our time and have a better deal that everybody's comfortable with, and we can move forward with that. What we have right now, and looking at the contract, and I understand the savings. Yes, we do see the dollar savings. And a lot of us like to have those savings. But I think we can get both. We put a little bit more into this, because I don't want to see just trash everywhere. And it's just, people don't have, they don't think about things like that. Oh, I have a blue receptacle, and I have an orange one. I'm going to put everything in there. No. Now you're going to be spending money going out to CCIA, spending money out there, illegal dumping more and more in the parks. I see it. So I I mean, I disagree with this. I don't like this contract. I don't like this agreement. I'm pretty sure you know how I'm going to vote.
At
Thank
this
you,
point,
Commissioner.
also,
Thank you, Commissioner. Go ahead.
considering, if we were to consider the city administrator's recommendations as also being the purchasing agent, in terms of to look into the process, what would that entail?
Well, the commission has a right to look into the process. Solid waste contracts are a little more complicated. They do have to be advertised 60 days in advance. And you have exactly 6 months today to have a new contract in place. I mean, anything's possible. We can go out to bid. ACUA has told us that they have to order trucks, so if we don't sign, the trucks won't get ordered, so they will not be ready for April 1st. If we go for bidding like we did last year, you might be able to get 2 bids. If you start right now, you might be able to do one, and if it doesn't work out, do another one. But I'm not sure of anything other than bringing it in-house, and we'd have to order trucks too, what other options we have. But I'm happy to explore whatever the commission wants me to explore.
Yeah, you know, if we go in-house, one of the, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Vice Mayor. Go ahead.
You know, I think the reason we went out to a contract years ago is because the expense it was costing the city for vehicles, insurance, workman's compensation, on and on and on. It really was a nightmare. You know, we need 5 or 6 people on a truck. You know, I mean, you know, and that's why I think the commission at that time decided to go out and contract it and save money because it was costing the city so much in the long term. So, you know, just information, that's all.
Thank you. Commissioner?
Yes.
Your microphone, Commissioner.
While I like the ideas that Commissioner Cooper put out there, I think realistically we have to look at the time frame. As I understand it, this previous bill that we're paying for trash, we were basically left at the price set by the people who had to come and collect it. One of the reasons why I think we're looking at this ahead of time is to make sure the time frame is in place, because if, as you said, Atlantic is going to collect our trash, they have to set themselves up to order trucks, et cetera. If these things aren't put into place, and I'm just putting this out there, I don't know what the time frames are, but we will then, everyone will be able to say, we can't really collect your trash this year, and whoever steps up and requests whatever they want to request for the cost will be set on by the city. Is that accurate? Thank you.
I would probably have time to do one bid, but then you've lost the time for ACUA. So if the bid comes in higher, you'd have no choice but to go with it. I could possibly get a second bidding out, but that would be. The 60 days advertising is required for solid waste.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, I would just emphasize the fact that over the 1-year contract, we did pay significantly more. We are looking at an immediate savings, and while this is a concern regarding the trash cans, we know the accountability factor that our city administrator has done the research in doing. In terms of authorizing that based on the purchasing agent and seeing firsthand, I know that Commissioner Cooper had mentioned in terms of the parks, but even our city solicitor has explained that with the accountability of having it per property, even landlords, even tenants at that point would have receptacles for which they are responsible. They would follow the property. They would also have lids that we would not have loose trash that would be blowing around on the city's streets. There are many factors that do go into this in terms of whether or not this would produce an outcome. But furthermore, it's also an outcome in which they've done in good faith, where they've actually provided us with an amount that's less than one that a company who's had no other bidders and is essentially running what is the one option for South Jersey, right, and allowing it to set its own price. In doing so, I think that even if it were to be, at this point, one that would be opposed to some members of the public, I would have to make the decision as a commissioner, seeing all of the evidence before me and realizing that it might not agree with everyone. But the fact that I've done my research and I know that I've looked into the prices, I know the research that it's been culminating with looking at South Jersey sanitation and seeing the unsatisfactory performance of it, and then realizing that there was nothing that we could do because of the fact that there were no other competitors. Mm-hmm. And with that in mind, I do take a very strong stance in supporting this with the ACUA.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anyone else?
I just want to. Could I? I understand what you're saying about the homeowners and the landlords. Right now, they have the stipulations on them as well, but they don't follow them. So I don't understand how, with this new agreement, they're going to follow it because now they have this one receptacle, which is a certain size or whatever. But I don't see how they're going to comply with this new agreement?
Well, also, Commissioner Cooper, I know that in the past when we've had different tenants who've approached us, that we've all taken a very compassionate stance in terms of understanding that sometimes we have landlords that don't respond accordingly. By having the receptacles present, the landlords are accountable for those receptacles. They follow the property and provide the tenants with receptacles that they will utilize for trash collection, because you can imagine that many low-income families that are tenants in properties that are rentals might not have the resources to that, maybe even subpar trash receptacles. And in taking that compassionate stance and understanding that this, once again, is another level of accountability for our landlords, that's another important fact that I did have to consider, and one that was highlighted to me by our city administrator and city solicitor. So respectfully understanding the disagreements, but also taking the accountability on myself to make the decision that I do, knowing that I've had all of the information before me, I'm confident in making this vote.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And one quick one also, Mayor. If we're not happy with them, if they're not abiding by what the contract states, we can get rid of it, even though it's a 5-year contract.
There are some. I think there are some outs.
Yes, there are.
Options to cancel the contract under certain circumstances.
Solicitor, they're also picking up additional trash.
Yeah.
Collect with the properties, but it used to be up to 10 units. Now it's anyone over 5 units, their trash will be picked up. So there is additional
Because
trash.
that's what, and the reason that change was made, because it's uniform with the way they do it in Vineland. And we also think that more trash will be picked up and less will be thrown out onto the curb. The containers do seem to work in Bridgeton and Vineland. I mean, they seem to be tidy, and you don't see as much trash. I'm in Bridgeton a lot.
They're 96 ounce or 96 whatever
96
gallon.
gallons, yeah.
They're huge. They're not small.
And the small can is only 30 gallons, to give you an idea of how much more.
They're a large.
All right, let's take a vote on
They're
this.
they're not that much bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really take a look at them realistically, they're not that much bigger. And what happens, people do deals with their neighbors. This is like the underground thing that's going on. They do deals with their neighbors. Hey, you don't put out a lot of trash. Can I use your trash? Why would we want to speaking of compassion, let's have more compassion for our residents. And why wouldn't we want to look harder to get a better deal than this? I'm telling you, this is not a good deal. I don't know any of these other cities, my friends, my relatives, who like this deal. And they have the same deal. And I understand that you've done your due diligence, and so have you, Madam Administrator. I just think that, can we go back to the table and do everything we can to make sure that we've got the best deal? Because the service is not great. They're telling us one thing, but actually what's happening is different. And once they get the contract, what do? They do what they want to do. So I'm just saying, let's be careful about that.
Thank you, Commissioner.
With that in consideration, are there other utilities authorities with which we could reach out to find out more information? But once again, this is taking the Atlantic County Utilities Authority and the contract that they provided to us. And
I'm not aware of any solicitor.
Yeah, I'm not aware.
I mean, I can reach out. Well, Waste Management didn't bid last year. They were sent the bid specs, and they did not bid last year.
Correct. All right. Madam Clerk.
I have a technical comment before you vote. The CFO didn't issue a certificate of availability of funds for $5 million. She can't do that because these are future funds. So
Correct.
It depends on the funds being available in the budget. Just want to make sure that's clear.
Thank you.
The $1 million's next year.
It's for next year. For next 20.
Got it.
Thanks.
Thank you, CFO Marcy Shepard. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
No.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, item 6 is a resolution authorizing professional service contract with Remington and Burnett Engineers, 232 Kings Highway East, Haddonfield, New Jersey, for professional services consisting of developing plans and specifications to publicly bid the rehabilitation of the existing 0.150 MG elevated water storage facility on Orange Street in the city of Millville, which will include cleaning, interior and exterior painting, and miscellaneous repair work in an amount not to exceed $55,530.
With that, Mr. Mayor, I have a certification of availability of funds from Marcella Shepard in the amount of $55,530. Move the adoption of this resolution.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries.
New business, please. Commissioner Cooper?
I have a motion to authorize social affair permits on behalf of the Rowan College of South Jersey to hold social affair events at the Arts and Innovation Center, 321 High Street, on the following dates and times. October 22nd, 2019, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. November 23rd, 2019, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Pepitone?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries.
We've now reached the public comment portion of our meeting. Anyone would like to address this commission, go to the podium, state your name and address your concerns, and please limit your comments to approximately 5 minutes.
Got me again. Good evening, Angeline Broomhall, Millville. You did not answer our questions. You have a work session. I'm going to repeat it again. You could have worked with us before. You did not answer our questions. So when I asked who pays for the cans, we pay for the cans. We have to bond for the cans. How much is the bond? Nobody knows. Maybe the city administrator knows, but you don't know, I don't think. So if you're negotiating and you're saying we're saving money, but you're not showing us where the savings is coming from. We're bonding now, which was what I just talked about, right? You shut off somebody's water who owed $27.63 tonight. The average increase on your taxes this year for the average person, the impact was $56.70. Just for your tax increase. How much is it going to be next year? How many more kids are going to have to wake up with no water? Because you think it looks prettier. I think it looks prettier too. It's not enough. It's not going to be enough. I have a small household. I have a 64-gallon can and I have a 30-gallon can. Most of the time my 64-gallon can is enough for 2 people. Sometimes it's not. My broom won't fit in there. My broken broom won't fit in there and close the lid. My broken vacuum cleaner doesn't fit in there. And I break a lot of vacuum cleaners. It's not that I'm opposed to it, but you're not being transparent. You're not being clear, and you're complaining that you don't have enough time. Well, it's your fault. That's your fault, every last one of yous. Your fault. You knew it was coming. Now, you said that Bridgeton and Vineland have different companies. It's different? No, there's the same company. Okay, because I thought I heard that before. You're saying we don't have the opportunity to purchase additional cans. So if we need more cans, some people with Atlantic County are allowed to purchase. Some contracts allow you to purchase an additional can for $75. You're saying that's not going to be included?
I believe you can buy additional.
You believe you can, okay. So, but we don't know. And we don't know how much it's going to cost. This is the problem. You don't know. Mr. Pepitone, your excuse earlier that that you don't know and this is new and you didn't know how things worked before here as being a commissioner, right? One, I'd never held any elected office, never mind been a freeholder. How dare you say you don't know? These meetings are televised. They're open to the public. Every one of you should have been in here, except for maybe Mr. Santiago, because you were already here, and Mr. Parent, because you've been here for decades. But the rest of you should have had your tushies in here before you even thought about collecting any petitions to be in here. How do you not know? I've never run for well, no, I've ran once for the charter study. And I would have gotten on there. But the point is that I know, and there's a lot of junk I don't know about this political stuff. But I know enough to do my research. I know enough to do my due diligence so I understand. And I'm not going to be up there backtracking on an Oprah request. So you're telling me that there's all these documents that exist, but I didn't get them when I sent an Oprah request. So you're telling me that you violated Oprah?
Can I clarify that?
Well, okay, but before you do, because I already know what you're going to do, you're going to say it's the courts, but I already got in touch with the courts. Okay?
That wasn't what I was going to say.
Okay. And it was sent to, I didn't bring it up here, but you sent it to the construction official, you sent it to the engineering, the
IT as well.
And IT, none of it came back to me.
Because you put state representative only. So that's what you got, unless there was a court communication.
Can I explain something to you?
Sure.
When I send an Oprah request to the state, you know what they do if they don't understand? They call me. I'm not asking you to do that, but you knew what I wanted. You knew what I wanted. You knew what I wanted. You knew what I was looking for, and it was a lot more than that little bit of an email back and forth. I was asking for very specific things in that email. Very specific.
And then you amended it, and you're going to be provided a voluminous amount of documents.
Right, because you didn't provide it originally. But you knew to ask for it because you sent it to the construction office. You sent it to them, so you knew to ask for it from them. But when you didn't get it, you didn't give it to me. Okay, so just remember that. When you're backtracking as to why I don't get stuff and why people don't know, is because you guys intentionally hide it from us. And if you don't intentionally hide it from us, participate in the work session and participate with public, allow the public to be involved. You're not doing that. You don't know what you're doing, some of you. Some of you know very well what you're doing, and they're more scary. But to sit up there and spend millions and millions of dollars, you just committed us to something and you have no idea how much it is. Even you, Mr. Davos, and I have much respect for you.
Angelina, 30 seconds.
Yes, sir. You have no idea how much we just spent. How much is that bond going to be for those trash cans, Mr. Davos? You don't know. So you just spent that kid's money that just had their water shut off for $27.63. And you just spent their money from when they're going to be 50 years old because you're going to bond for it. That's wrong. You don't know what you're doing. And you're not even willing to work with people who do know.
Thank you, Angelina.
Kirk Hewitt, Millville. Mr. Pepitone, you're going to stand by your word that you had all this done. All these people down, they looked at the building. I mean, it's over with. It's over, but it's not over with, because now we got a whole new ball of wax. But there's nothing there. I know that Angel just touched with it, city clerk just touched with it. Well, I can tell you that the Oprah went to Mrs. Burke, to the construction official, Robin, to Brian, Carissa Green, Jeannie, court admin, Kim, Mayor Santiago, Commissioner Udalvis, Commissioner Cooper. Are you going to tell me that there's nothing to go with this? We're not going to amend it. We're not going to amend this like we've been doing. You're going to tell me? Tell me on record that you have all this and you'll hand it to me right now. Tell me. Because that's what you told me earlier. No. Yeah, I see your hand signals. We'll find out. No, I don't want to talk to you. You've been talking for 4 weeks. On a lighter note, you get into bed in politics. It must be cozy, man. I don't ever want to be near it. South Jersey stands tall. You remember them? Nice people to cozy up with, huh? You guys called them liars when you were called out on them. You guys all knew you were in bed with them. We had a really great car show on High Street the other day, didn't we? It didn't cover a block and a half, and they put spaces between the cars. Did any of you go there? I went there, too, with my grandson.
I took my dog.
You didn't see many cars, did you? What did you see years before?
A lot of cars.
A lot of cars.
Kurt, if I may stop you for a second.
Go ahead.
It was
It's
up
my
to
time.
It was up to Mulberry. Cars on
It
your
was a
side.
block and a half.
Hold on.
Okay,
It was
go
up to Mulberry. And then after Mulberry, what they did was that I didn't like, they parked cars in parking slots. If you saw that, if you went past the post office. Did you see that?
They made, yes. I parked out in a triangle, that I call a triangle, by the old rescue squad building, and I walked in. That's what I always do. We didn't bring 6 cars and 2 race cars that we brought every year. You know why? Because you threw out Checkered Flag Race Club, South Jersey Hot Rods. Not you guys.
Right.
You're friends with the Chamber of Commerce. Because the Chamber of Commerce brought in a man that sat with James Schroeder on South Jersey Stand Talls. He doubled the admittance for the people to bring their cars here. He was going to make it the grandest thing in the world. Real people don't support crooks. That's why nobody was here. It was a failure. And Millville could be proud, no matter what commission was sitting there. If it was you guys 3 years ago, You could be sitting there saying, I'm proud of the car show that we put on. You can't do that no more. Take a ride down to Woodbine in 2 weeks and see what the city council and Willie Pickalicky put on down there in the little town of Woodbine, because we will all be there from all over South Jersey, but we won't be there with stands tall. Remember that when your next campaign comes up. Get in bed with them, you might pay next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt.
I'm John Nyman. I live on Buttonwood Lane. Again, you guys don't act very transparent with us, so I'm not sure how we got to the point where we were going to buy $1 million bank building for a courthouse. If the police department is overcrowded, have you considered satellite station for your police in a troubled neighborhood where there be a presence and you have a small squad of people that can be connected electronically with the home office? They don't need to be in the same building, one big happy family. I used to work in the post office where they had separate annexes for carriers. It works. It can work. You'd give yourself a presence in troubled neighborhoods. It wouldn't cost you an arm and a leg to have office space converted. Not special building. Maybe you can have special telephone lines. But the rest of it is going to be simple. You've got buildings that can be used for office space. Cops can be on the street in the communities. Second thing, a little bit off that topic with the garbage people. The present company I've got no qualms with, except that they cut the corners, and I live on a corner, and they ruin my gardens, which are on the corner. Before the gardens, you had a mud puddle where the pavement ends, and you have dirt, water accumulates there because it's downstream. They did it going from Buttonwood onto Crescent, and then again from Crescent going on to Buttonwood. So right across the street, they were on the grass across the street. No reason for that. I left a phone message on their answering machine tonight because they were very late again, and we'll see what happens. But I am tired of fixing up my property because people cut the corners. I've got rocks there as a deterrent. It's still right over the rocks. It's crazy. Thank you.
Thank you, John. What was your last name? I'm sorry. Nyman. Got it.
Thank you. I swear half my stuff's on my phone, half it's not. Greg Kears, Millville. First thing, thank you, Commissioner Pepitone, for mentioning the Historic Society event. Awesome. I myself couldn't make it because my dog was at the doggy emergency room being picked up. But I wanted to announce an event we have coming up on October 26th. It's going to be at the Mount Pleasant Cemetery. It's going to be a veterans tour of the cemetery. It's going to cover the Civil War veterans, World War II, and the Korean War veterans of the city, including like Purple Heart winners. And there's some stuff like, you know, there's a former governor buried here, which very few people know, Governor Stokes. Yes.
Yeah, so, yeah.
And some of like the notable citizens that are buried there. Afterwards, and that's going to start at 2 o'clock, and get there a little bit early. It's free to the public. Donations are accepted. And afterwards, there's going to be like light refreshments and all that at the Mansion House, where we're going to have tours upon request. And if you've ever been there, you know Bob loves to give tours. So that's that for the Historic Society. Now I'm going to take off that hat completely and just speak as a citizen, which I rarely do. Looking at this court building, it couldn't help me but think about where you're proposing as to what Bridgeton looks like. As Kurt brought up, I do happen to be in need of ADA accommodation. And, you know, legally, yeah, it's ADA accessible because you have some spots. But you don't have van accessibility. And the majority of the city, especially when you hit the side streets and the hills, are not accessible by federal ADA guidelines regarding angles of sidewalks and grades. And I don't know if you've ever been to the courthouse trying to get an ADA spot. There are 3 of them.
And then, I mean, parking's a joke there to begin with, let alone what it could be downtown here in Millville. And I mean, frankly, like, let's say I had to go do a ticket. I don't want to have to park down near, like, Bruni's, because that's the closest spot, and then take uneven pavement all the way if I needed a wheelchair 100% of the time. I mean, it's hard enough to get into here when people, like recently, I won't go into it, but, you know, park in ADA spots when they're not handicapped at all. And I just really think that if you're going to do something with this, it needs to be in a location that is centralized, and I really like the idea of behind here. And it needs to be modern, because right now it'd just be like putting a Band-Aid on like a really bad cut. Because sure, you might meet every standard a little bit, but you're not really doing anything better. And that's kind of all I got to say about that. And with the trash stuff, I'm big in recycling, and I kind of don't like this thing with only one can, honestly, especially bi-weekly, because I recycle everything. So even the stuff that most people don't know you can recycle. But that's all.
Thank you, Greg. Anyone else?
I'd like to thank Mr. Cooper and Mrs. Yodelis. I mess up your name every time. For your vote. You did the citizens of Millville a great thing tonight. And I'd like to thank you. It just shows that there are two people that are thinking and not just saying yes, 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 because the cronies want their yes votes. And about the Oprah request, let me tell you, at one time, I had a mini city hall in my garage. I probably got more Oprah requests than anybody else ever has in this city. I was welcomed when I came in this building. I immediately got what I asked for. They copied it on both sides of the paper to save me money. If I wanted to see the check register, they put it out. I could see who the checks went to, how much they were for. What happened? What happened to our city? They quit representing the people. It just amazes me when they tell me how hard it is for them to get this stuff that they want to look at. I don't know why you do that unless you have a lot you want to hide. And believe me, there were things back then they wanted to hide, but they showed it to me. It wasn't always stuff they wanted me to see, but I got to see it. So who made this big decision? From now on, we're going to make it impossible for you to get this. I was in the city hall almost every day. Mr. Parrott probably remembers. Me and him had a lot of battles. But we still are friends today. We still, because that's what a city that works together, gets along together, cares about the city do. They don't close the door on their citizens' faces. And Mr. Pepitone, you sit there and say, you don't know, you're new. Well, if you're voting on something and you don't know, you should abstain. You're spending millions of dollars of taxpayers' money and you don't understand or know? How can you do that? Don't you have principles? If I don't know something, I sure is not going to say, oh, just buy it. Oh, yeah, let's just bond it. How can you do that? Yeah, nobody ever answers a question. I still don't know if somebody takes my trash can and the police can't find it. How much have I got to pay? Do you have an idea? You know, Other than you two. I'm speaking to you three right now. You look like a bunch of dummies sitting there. I'll have to say, no, that's me. I don't have a clue. I'll answer you after the meeting. You don't do it. So why do you keep saying you're going to do something you don't do? It's so annoying. You're like little kids. I just want to turn you upside down and spank you.
Spank us.
Joe Sutherland, 51 Dorset Avenue. I'm here as coordinator of the Millville Municipal Alliance Committee, and thank you. We're looking forward to working with you on the 26th for the pumpkin extravaganza. Yeah, we'll be there with refreshments. We'll see that you have all the supplies that you need. And
snow cone machine?
What's Courthouse? If it's warm enough, we'll bring the snow cone machine, buddy. Yeah, but it's got to be warm enough. We're also we're working with the schools right now to get the students that are going to go up to the New Jersey State Elks Youth Peer Leadership Conference in February. We're between us and the Elks and the school district. We're sending up 10 students, 4 or 5 advisors, and that's always a very good weekend. We've never had a student that has come back from there and been unsatisfied with what they learn up there. And now, just as me, I would like to let our handicapped people know that starting today, we are issuing tickets to handicapped cars that are on the street sweeper route. Now, we hadn't done that for a long time, but just so that people know that even if you have a handicap placard in front of your house, you have to move your car on the day that your street is swept, or you will get a ticket. That's all I have.
Thank you, Joe.
Hi, Cindy Cook. I don't know if I heard wrong or not, but I could have sworn I heard that the trash cans were going to have a code on them so the police would be able to locate them. And I thought I heard that a grant was being used to pay for the cans. That's what I wrote down when it was said. Okay, what I'm going to talk about is our homeless situation. We moved our 73rd homeless individual in Cumberland County into a home last week. We've got a couple services that are not only for our homeless, but they're for anybody that needs these programs. October 14th at the Salvation Army in Vineland on Chestnut Street will be the free eye clinic from 9 o'clock until noontime. So if you don't have insurance or an eyeglass prescription plan, or you know somebody that needs that assistance, please make sure you get over there. It's once a month. We now have, through Inspira, the Recovery on Wheels. The Recovery on Wheels is a bus that goes through all of Cumberland County. It's in a different location each week. On Tuesday, October 8th, it will be located at the Millville Library from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock. And on October 23rd, it will be at the Family Success Center on Spring Garden Road, and both those times are from 10 to 2. Those are not just for our homeless people, but they're for anybody at all that you know that might have an addiction problem or any kind of issue. They not only get the people into detox, also, well, before I go there, Inspira now has a program where you can walk into Inspira, and they have detox programs here in our Cumberland County. We do not need to any longer send our residents out of county to detox. The ROW bus is outfitted to provide access to substance use disorder recovery service on the spot in real time. I personally have been there. I have gotten somebody immediately into detox using this facility. Not only that, but they usually have the peer recovery coaches available to counsel somebody that might need assistance or somebody to talk to. For families that somebody in your family has got a problem, they have got Narcan and opioid overdose reversal education. They have information and referrals to various social services, not just dealing with drugs, to all different kinds of social services. They have a needle disposal area. You know, diabetes, whatever you've got, they've got that. They also provide hepatitis A vaccinations if you need it. Health screenings and other health services are provided. They also provide temporary ID with a picture on it when needed for the purpose of accessing treatment facilities. They also do prescription drugs turn-in services. So if you have drugs that you want to get rid of, you can bring to them if you don't know any place else to take your drugs so they can be properly disposed of. I wanted to make sure that you all know that, and that there's a lot of other services set up over there. Occasionally they have somebody there that helps providing counseling on if you've got warrants out for your arrest. They have usually there for our homeless individuals. There for Grace provide showers. They have haircuts. They have shaving. They have a lot of different services. So if you know of anybody that can use these facilities, please, please make sure you let them know. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Cindy, you want to talk a little bit about M25 breakfast? That's coming up also. Okay.
I skipped it. Okay, M25, that is the housing. They will be having their big fundraiser. That is on October 23rd at Savoy Inn. Most of us can't afford the ticket to go there. It's $100 for the breakfast. I believe $90 of that is tax deductible. It's primarily for big businesses and things like that who sponsor it and everything. But it's one of the big fundraisers, and that's what gives us the money to move our homeless people into housing. And what has happened with these is we don't just put them in housing. They are in a complete wraparound program. The wraparound program helps them with mental health, with addiction, with all different kinds of counseling. It then helps them get the identifications they need so they can become full members of our society by helping them get jobs.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I close the public portion of our meeting. Comments of commissioners. Commissioner Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome.
I just want to touch upon the trash contract just for a moment, if I can. I just want to first start by saying it's a bad idea. The cans are not big enough. You'll see this. If you don't see this, go to Vineland. Go look at their cans. See how much bigger they are than your cans. ACUA's service record is not good. They'll tell you anything they want to say to get the contract. That's what will happen. Illegal dumping is rampant. It really is. I see it in the parks. I see it on the streets. We all probably know one site right now where there's been some illegal dumping. And who's got to pick that up? We have to pick that up. We have to come and take care of that. Okay. The payment for the cans, we don't know. And if I want to buy another can, I have to pay a premium. I can't get one on sale. I have to get one a premium from what they charge us. So, one thing it has opened up a new stream of revenue, though. So if you want to be an illegal trash dumper, you don't have a job here. There's a job here waiting for you. You can jump onto this job. We are providing that for you because that's what you're going to see. Not something I want to see, but that's what you're going to see. It's a bad idea. If it's not, let's take a look at it a year from now, and I'll totally eat my words if it's not. If it is, if it's a great idea, I will shout it to the world. But right now, it's a bad idea. I've been thinking about this since we've been talking about it. I just don't have any other feeling about it except for it's a bad idea. On to the CCIA building. First of all, just keep it at its simplest terms. There's no parking there. Zero. We already have problems parking here. So what's going to happen when everything moves across the street? If I want to go to Andreas, I got to park 3 streets over. What's going to happen then? And parking on High Street itself is very limited. It's very limited. Mr. Nardi, I hear you. And your points are valid. We know, we can close our eyes and put blinders on all we want, but we know what's going to be circulating around that building. We know what's going to be happening around that building, and that's not what we want. That is a prime real estate location for our city, High Street. We want that to shine. We want the best things on there. So what do we do after we spend all this money going over there? You can't park. You have problems over there with people that are doing things that they shouldn't be doing. It's going to hurt businesses. It is. The foot traffic is going to be a totally different element than what you're used to seeing. That's true. I think this $1.5 million bond is too much. And we have to do whatever we can to have a savings for our residents. Right now, EMS is a priority. And I think everyone can attest to that in this room. That's a priority. If we said that same thing to you right now about EMS, nobody would bat an eye because we know we need it. That's paramount. I just think there's better locations where we can spend less and get more. Mr. Nynum, you mentioned, why not substations? Why not putting it in a community where you can uplift the community? I like that idea. We've talked about that idea. It's pretty. It's a nice, pretty building. Everybody will look great as they go over there. What does that mean? It's not great for us. We don't have to do what Vineland's doing. We don't have to do what Bridgeton's doing. We do what Millville does. And we do it the best for our residents. So again, let's spend some more time on this. Let's get a better building, a better situation. I'm not against the police. I'm a police officer. I would love to go into a nice building. But if I got to park my car 3 blocks away, it's inconvenient for me. If you're running late for work or you got something you got to do to get right out to your car, it's snowing, whatever, I got to run 3 blocks away just to get my car. So again, it's not a knock against the CCIA or the police or the courts. They deserve a better building. But not this one. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Cooper. Commissioner Pepitone.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I want to thank Ashley for the eloquence that she used in explaining the situation concerning the trash. While people can say it's our fault that the time ran out, if we don't move on this, and I'm glad that we voted to do that because we now have someone who is going to take our trash without being held hostage by a company, if there even is one later on that will come to take the trash at whatever cost that they choose to give to the city. Again, I'll leave that there. Concerning the parking, it would be the same parking that would be in the courthouse right now. The timing of the courts is not a prime time when you're going to see people visiting the businesses, etc. That was one of the issues that was discussed. Concerning the Oprah that you were asking for, are they the Oprahs that are referring to this? What went on with the courts? The thing that I was. I'm going to let you only because the mayor.
I said you could. Go ahead. Go ahead, Kurt.
Everything you were telling us
Right.
was available. And evidently nothing's available. And we have conversed with the girl at New Jersey courts.
Okay.
And she says there's nothing else.
Okay.
When you ask for the paper, whether you want to believe it or not, there is no paper. If there's conversations that you want to have about what occurred, I'm telling you, if you ask the courts, they're going to validate what we talked about. If you want to talk about whether the individuals from the courts went across the street to literally view the place, if you want to talk to Robin about him actually going, we had to actually measure the elevator to make sure it was ADA compliant. Right? A lot of these things went on. I don't use email like most people do, which would give the track. The point that I want to make is, when this situation rose to me, and I'm not going to stop saying I don't know, because I probably know more about this issue than anyone in this room, as well as my commissioners, because I went through it. We have a problem with the courts. We have a problem with the police station. There was discussions about building a new police station at one point, which I assure you will cost more than $1 million. Let me finish, okay? In going through all of these issues that I went through and took, this is not a month. These are months of conversations, visiting the courthouse, meeting with people. I tried to solve a situation. There's no smoke and mirrors. There's nobody behind the curtain. I presented to you what I best know. Very viable building. The state proved it. The courts proved it. Everybody came together to say, this is what we do. And then I hear, let me finish. Then I hear, it's not what we want to do. Let's look at it. It's easy to throw ideas and pontificate about whatever you want, but when you want to put a substation in, how are you going to man it? Where's it going to be? What's the cost going to be? Everything has a cost, and it's easy to sit up here and throw happy ideas, okay? But like Ashley pointed out about the trash, that's real, okay? We're in a situation of paying more for trash because we weren't as prepared. We now have a company that I'm sure she and the mayor did a lot of research to find out what the best thing is. It's easy to promise, oh, there's a better way to do it. Well, let me see. And I'm going to project to my colleagues, if they find a better way to solve the issue with the courts and with the police station, have at it. I basically brought to you the best that I knew, the best that I can do. If you want to validate with me and any individual that I spoke with and stand there, they're going to validate what I spoke with you as the truth. Okay, so it's not that I don't know. I might not know all the steps that maybe some other individuals might know, but I think I did a pretty darn good job at trying to put this deal together. And if the public doesn't want it, if my colleagues don't support it, there's no hard feelings on my point. What I'm saying to you is we have to solve the problem. Have at it.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Anything else? Let me see. Once again, the historical society event was fantastic, and please don't forget on October 31st the trunk or treat at Pine and 3rd Streets. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Pepitone. Commissioner Eugalavis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In responding to inquiries from the public as provided during the September 17th meeting of the Commission, the topic of entertainment tax, as highlighted by Ms. Broomhall during the public comment portion, researched and discussed following the meeting in order to clarify the response to the inquiry. According to the State of New Jersey Division of Taxation, sports and entertainment facility admission charges to any place of amusement, including charges for admission to rides, sporting events and exhibitions, dramatic or musical arts performances, movie theaters, and cover charges to nightclubs and cabarets within a sports and entertainment district are subject to a 2% sports and entertainment facility tax, in addition to the 6.625 sales tax for a total tax of 8.625%. According to a report revised in May 2017, the City of Millville is currently the only municipality that is eligible to establish a sports and entertainment district. This is once again in response to a question posed by Ms. Angeline Broomhall during the September 17th meeting of the Commission. Comparing the entertainment tax, which, as our city solicitor has stated, parallels the state statute and our ordinance, which requires that NJMP is required to collect 2% from all sales of personal property and food and beverages in addition to the sales tax is remitted to the state treasury. As confirmed by our city solicitor and chief financial officer, the State Division of Taxation collects the tax, and the municipality's availability of information regarding the funds after collection is limited. I would encourage any citizen or Ms. Broomhall, if she would prefer to have more information regarding this topic, to contact me via email or via phone. In regard to this evening's occurrences and also observing some of the interactions during the meeting, I would impart to the public that through doing this job and through serving as a commissioner, you are also serving as a resident in this community. In terms of receiving feedback, I found that it's been my primary responsibility as a commissioner to consider all feedback, including that which was brought up this evening about encouraging our work sessions to be utilized more wisely, to encourage that for time, and also for creating a forum for the public to chime in regarding developing items and not items that are at that point of resolution. Now, in response to Commissioner Cooper, I do respect and believe that in terms of our differences of opinion, those are differences that are profound, and not only that, but profound on details that are different, with you drawing from personal experience and also from my personal experiences of receiving phone calls from citizens who are upset with situations, with pickups that are not actually performed on time, or even with the result of those pickups in which there might be litter or trash that's found on the street. So in evaluating our two differences, I can see how our differences would exist. In terms of evaluating this evening's second reading on an ordinance item regarding Streets and Roads Department, I do recall, however, that I did not receive a comment from you providing that comment or that feedback regarding the item, but rather a no this evening, in addition to the resolution item that was not discussed with our city administrator, as I'd reached out to her for previous evidence and finding out the feedback of other commissioners. As Kirk Hewitt had mentioned, during the summer we did have a resolution item, or rather a work session item, during which time Mayor Santiago had brought up the topic of the ACUA, or rather shared services as they existed. And I feel that through implementing that correctly in our commission, really communicating with one another, we would certainly find more feedback that would be valuable to our citizens in general. In addition to, once again, completing this job as a commissioner is not only emotionally taxing, but it's also one that when you do see situations, for example, in March of 2019, when we awarded the contract to New Jersey Sanitation, I remember immediately being concerned and speaking with our city administrator right away. So knowing that at that point there was a notification within my mind of this being an issue to the city, I also felt, as Mayor Santiago had, that through investigating another option through a shared services contract, that the ACUA in this contract did present a viable option for the city that would prevent, or at least present, an option for progress. Therefore, remitting my statements, my evaluations to the public, I do certainly accept that any decision hopefully will be in the best interest of our citizens and our residents, but I also do wholeheartedly welcome and accept any responsibility that comes along with those decisions in the process. In short, I would also like to thank those citizens who not only on a regular basis, they may reach out to me and provide some sense of encouragement in realizing that this is not only a position that you complete as a resident in your own hometown, but also one as a representative, in which when you do receive feedback from the public, you have to remember that it comes oftentimes from a place of the public voicing their concerns and you being the person who is here listening to them. While it might not be personally directed, I do thank those who realize that at the end of the day, we are still people, we're still residents here in the community, and they've shown us their kindness and graciousness. And with the conclusion of this report, Mr. Mayor, progress.
Well said, Commissioner. Vice Mayor.
Yes, Mayor, I'll be as brief as I can. I'll try to get through a few things. First of all, I want to thank Commissioner Pepitone for his hard work in trying to relocate the courts and doing something for our police officers and the police department. Doesn't solve the problem, folks. It's a serious, serious concern that we have in our court system and in our police department. Something has to be done. We don't have any alternatives but to do something. It's complaint after complaint after complaint over there. We are going to do something, whatever it is. To build a new building, police building, courthouse, combination, you're talking millions and millions and millions upon millions of dollars. Either we do something now or the next administration is going to have to deal with it. That's the easy way out. We recognize there's problems. We must solve them. Tonight, people say, well, we always vote the way everybody else votes. That, over the years, we haven't done that. Each commissioner has their own mind. Each commissioner expresses their feeling, and they vote that way. And they should be commended for that. People don't have to agree with me or the mayor or anyone else up here. And I've said that to each and every commissioner. When you vote the way you feel is right in your own mind, not because I vote somehow or someone else does. And this administration has done that, and will continue to do that. thing that you see here is there's no animosity against one another. We don't get mad at one another because we disagree on an issue or a vote. We're above that. I would think that would be the worst thing that can happen to your city commissioners. Not like it used to be, folks, okay? Not like it used to be. We have our own minds. We're going to continue to work together. We're going to try to solve our differences, but we still have a problem. That problem is in the police building and in the courts. And, Commissioner, you still have a challenge, okay? And I know no one works harder than this man. I'll tell you that right now.
I don't know if it's my challenge now.
No, you do. Maybe you don't come across sometimes the way you are, but there's no finer person than this guy who has a love for this city and still is trying to do what is right. Still will do what's right. So again, Mayor, thank you for everything. I think that
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
We'll do what we have to do, Mayor.
Yes,
One point that I wanted to make concerning the car show, was that date changed from what it usually was? Because from what my brother-in-law's at a car show, and I believe last weekend when it was, there was a lot of car shows that were going on simultaneously, which may have had a big impact on the number. Not this, again, I don't know anything about who was thrown out or who wasn't, whatever. But I wanted to make it clear that last weekend, I think there was even 4 or 5.
There was a car show in Salem County and a car show in Atlantic County, because a lot of people that were there with their cars stated that they knew that the numbers are going to be down because of the 2 other shows. Correct.
I just want to make that point. Thank you, sir.
What's my turn?
Yeah.
I guess all the questions were answered about our trash pickup and this building. That's the great part about this commission, that we're all here to make our own decisions. And I'm proud of that we make our own decisions. I don't think anybody forced Commissioner Cooper to vote the way he did, or Commissioner Dalavis, or the Vice Mayor, or Joe, or myself. It's what we think is best for the city. So I appreciate that. And as everybody else has stated, we're here for a team for the better of the community. We don't have to agree all the time. And believe me, Commissioner Udalvis and I have disagreed a lot. We have. But we come to terms, and that's important. Decisions were made today. We got to live by them, and we're going to move forward to the next challenge. And EMS is a challenge. It's something that we need to look at, right, Commissioner?
Right.
We need to look at that because it's important for the city, and it's important for all of you that are residents of this city. So with that, thank you for coming. Be safe going home. And can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. This means adjourned. Be safe going home.